Have you ever felt that burning resentment towards someone, like a tension you can't just shake off? Now, most of us think they are the enemies, like they betrayed us or they put violence on us, but little do we know, the only enemies that we're actually battling is ourselves. Now, in this video, I am going to show you and I'm going to explain to you so you will finally understand who are your real enemies and why you keep losing the battles against them that you didn't even know you were fighting as a man. So, from the beginning of just humanity, everyone is born in a spiritual battle. Everyone is born on the battlefield by God Himself. God puts us in this battlefield. God puts us in this battlefield in order for us to actually go through jihad or go through the struggle. And the struggle is the battle and the adventure that He created for us. And it all comes from the birth of Adam. We know the classic story, right? When Adam is created. I'm just going to read it out here because I have my script. So, everyone knows when Adam is created, the angels are obedient to God, but Iblis, which is the devil, is actually against the creation of Adam because he says that he says this: I'm better than him because I'm made out of fire, and Adam himself, he was made out of clay. And this sort of like arrogance, it marked the point where there is a rebellion, right? And this is the start of the battle against Adam, right? And Adam didn't even know this because he wasn't created at first. Now, what really happened, right? What happened after that? The devil, he swore an oath to fight humanity and attack them all throughout the decades and the years until the day of judgment. Now, Adam and Hawa, or Adam and Eve, were told to enjoy the garden, but don't eat the fruit. Remember that story, right? Now, the devil's first move was actually deception because he whispered lies. He twisted the commands that was initially taken from God and promising them immortality. But then the results, we all know the results, right? The result is that they actually slipped and actually ate the fruit from the tree, and then they were sent down to earth. And that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or God, right, said that descend from paradise as enemies to one another, meaning from paradise to earth, and Adam and Eve is an enemy to the devil. Literally, the God is saying that the devil is our enemy. For you on earth will be a dwelling place and provision for a time. Quran 2:36. Earth became a battlefield. It became this world full of struggles, and the devil keeps on. The devil is gonna fight you. The devil is gonna fight humanity on earth. That's why he got sent, because he did something wrong on paradise. He actually ate the fruit on that specific tree, which he actually shouldn't, but because the devil whispered lies on him, then he turned out to eat the fruit anyway with Eve as well. And so that's why he got tested and he failed. And so that's why he got sent down to earth, descend from paradise. Now, the second enemy is actually our flesh, our nafs, if it's talking in Islam, or in Jungian psychology, our psyche, our soul, or our self. Now, we can talk days for this, but if we know that if we're not in our true self, then our false self is going to sabotage our life. Same thing like this one. Our inner human is full of desires, full of temptation, full of pride, right? And if we can't control it, then it's going to ruin our life. If we can't go through life conscious in God, then we are going to sabotage our life with our false self, or the same thing as our shadows. Now, the devil only whispered to eat the fruit, only whispered. He didn't control our body in order for us to actually make the move to actually take the fruit well, for Adam and Eve, right? The devil only whispered to them. But because we're human, because our nervous system tells us, there's food there. Our nervous system wants to touch. Our nervous system wants to taste. Our nervous system wants to try something because our nervous system, our body, our flesh is tempted to do those certain things. Well, that's not wrong. We are human, right? And so we can't just blame on ourselves for that. We have to actually look back on why we do that at first. And so that's sort of like the trap that we fall into, the temptation, pride, lust, and all those sins that we don't want to do, right? There's this one saying from the Quran as well, which is from Prophet Muhammad. The strongest man is the one who controls himself when he is angry. That's why doing the shadow work stuff, right? Looking back to our shadow, knowing where the wounds come from and how does it affect who we are today, how does it shape our actions, our decisions, our impulses, our triggers, and we have to resolve them. And so shadow work, we can resolve why we become angry at someone, why do we snap back at them, why do we respond with rage and fury towards them. And that's why the strongest man is the one who can control himself, control his anger, control his lust, control his pride, control his arrogance. And we don't want to just lash out on people. We don't want to just just have pride and arrogance to the point that it hurts someone else's feelings, which can hurt ourselves as well. And we don't want to get fed on with the whispers of the devils. We have to protect ourselves from that. And that's why this is our body controlling us. Our body is owning us. Our shadows is owning us. That's why we have to do some sort of self-reflection. We have to sort of say this agreement to not do it again towards brothers. We need to have brotherhood in order for us to actually be seen, be watched, be heard about our struggles in our lives, and actually keep us accountable with it as well. My past relationships, right, I would suddenly just snap back at her for no absolute reason. Why do I do that, right? I didn't want to do that. It's like, it feels like my body is controlling me. If you know the puppet, right? If the person is like controlling the puppet, that's just like our body, right? Controlling with little fingers, controlling our head, our brain, inside our ribs, our muscle, right? I can, my soul is there, my heart is there, but my body is being controlled to do that because that's just how human reacts. That's the nervous system. And the nervous system is very, 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 very fragile if it is affected from the childhood events. If it's affected from the past, basically. Because during childhood is where we perceive something easily and we can't sort of comprehend or we can't process it in our mind to actually properly grieve on it. Therefore, we respond with a certain physical action. We become angry at someone. We snap back at someone. That's the bad thing that actually can progress over time as soon as we reach adolescence and adulthood, right? And so we also bring that shadow that we experienced back then into our adulthood, and we express it and we show it to people as insecurities, as fear, as rage. We don't want that. Now, I would snap back at her for just a small thing. Like, the situation actually did not deserve any of my rage, any of my fury. But because I sort of expressed my fear, I expressed my insecurity, I put my fear and insecurity on her, because I project my own shadows on her. And so, because of that, the whole relationship turns out a mess. And I regret a bunch of things, but I learned a lot from it. I learned that my childhood wound is actually very important. The wound, the trauma, the events in the past, it's important. And so I have a whole another specific video on that you can watch somewhere in this channel, or I'm going to make a new one as well. And so after the slip, God said that he is going to place Adam and Eve on earth, which is descent from paradise to earth. And so earth became this place of like test where survival, wealth, food, shelter, status become necessary to every human being, but it's also dangerous if we don't control it. Now, it's all about controlling it, right? The world isn't necessarily evil, but it is like a tool and sort of like a test that we must undergo. Because if you chase it as like, if you pursue the world, right? You get what I mean? If you pursue the world, if you chase the world and not the afterlife, right? Not the afterworld back when you return with God again, then it will ruin your life. The devil will control over you, and it becomes a trap, a cycle of just lust, pride, arrogance that you don't want to actually undergo. Now, society and culture is also a part of the world. Not only materialism, right? The materialistic stuff like luxurious car, and vacations and all those materialistic things, right? Not only that, and also not only society as well, not system as well, but people. If you get too attached to people, if you get too attached to a person, to someone, and you're not God conscious about it, it will destroy your relationship with them, right? You can watch a whole specific video for this because this can take too long. But what I'm saying here is to actually not be attached to the world and what's within that world, what's inside that world, which is the systems, right? Beliefs, society, culture, ideologies, people. The one I think most important is actually people, because if we get attached to people, then it will return to us back with a very, very not exciting results from that. Because there's also a one quote that I stand by. It goes something like, if you rely on something that is unstable, then you're also going to be unstable. But if you rely on something stable, then you're going to be stable yourself. So what I'm saying here is that you don't want to depend too much on something that is unstable, which is people, right? Which is human. Human is unstable. We are ourselves is unstable. And so if we depend on something that is more stable, I mean, what is it? It's obvious. God. God is stable, not humans, right? We don't want to rely and depend our lives on humans. Yes, we have to have a partner in order for us to regenerate, right? We need to have children in order for those children to prey on us in our deathbed. Yes, we need to have them. Yes, we need to marry someone. Yes, we need to have brothers in order for us to bestow masculinity from. Yes, we need parents. Yes, we do. But we can't fully depend on them, right? We have to be God conscious about it. We have to mature our shadows to know that the only way we can father ourselves is through God. And we can't get that masculine energy only from the brothers, but from God as well, because He's the one who created us in this world. And so all the society stuff, it pulls us away from our heart, from what we're actually capable of doing more, something more spiritual than just the modern stuff, right? It takes our heart away from being alive. That's why our only goal in this world is actually to bring our heart back, to restore our heart, to battle against our heart. To battle for our heart and to battle the heart of others. The school system. What do you think the school system does? The school system keeps us obedient, right? Because us as men, we're actually not supposed to be in school, just like sit down like a little boy. We're supposed to be outside doing those physical stuff, cutting the trees, building houses, right? That's why a lot of boys these days are quote unquote naughty, right? Because they get a lot of detention, they get suspended from school because they do something wrong, because they bully people, because they break the school facilities. Because boys are not meant to be inside a tight classroom with fluorescent lights and closed windows. That's just like, that's not wild at all. We're supposed to be outside of school. The nerds, think about the nerds. I feel bad for them. We feel bad for them. The nerds are systemized already. Their belief system is destroyed due to their parents, right? And we're not gonna blame anyone here because humans are imperfect, right? Humans are imperfect, so the nerds, right, the geeks, the small geeks, they actually are affected by the belief system of their parents, trying to make them happy, trying to do this because they're trying to chase these external validation, and they actually need to do some shadow work on that as well. They have to realize that they have to be conscious of it before they actually know on how to do the shadow work. They have to be conscious that school isn't for them. That's how I sort of turn into this, like, from this nerd, or like from this geek, right? This smart person, into actually being more wild and free, and actually not really caring a lot about, the academic stuff and the school system and all that. The school system itself, the academic and the knowledge itself from school is not bad, right? We can apply those knowledge through every aspect of our lives, in our work, in our career. But then the system itself is the one that's keeping our heart away from being free and being wild, like who we are actually supposed to be, who we are meant to be. That's the battle against the school system and just society and ideologies like toxic masculinity or some such, right? Now, another thing from the school system, it can also be derived from the feminine energy, the overwhelming feminine energy that we get from school. If you look at your school, right? Maybe in the past, or you're still in school right now, most of the teachers are female. They overwhelm us with this feminine energy because we know that masculinity is bestowed. But if we're surrounded by a lot of these feminine teachers, man, what are we going to become? And we're stuck on it, and we don't realize that the overwhelming feminine energy is sabotaging our life, is destroying our life, and we don't realize that. I also want to make this video in order for you to actually realize and to think to yourself, to take 2 steps behind and pause for a sec and think about, if you're still in school or in campus or anything, the feminine teachers, the female energy is too much for us. We lack this masculine energy from real, authentic, brothers that's been initiated for the rest of his lives. The media as well, it wants us to chase external validation. What does that look like, right? The countless numbers of reels that we scroll into, showing us the materialistic stuff, showing us fantasies, right? Showing us relationships that are romantic, right? Teenage relationships and all that we feel like we want to pursue. That's actually going to destroy us in a couple of years of our lives. Those and the ideologies as well, and who we idolize, right? Who we idolize in media, if we idolize the right or the wrong person, and even if the right person can also become the wrong person as well. The media is full of horrible ideas. Now, I'm not going to say horrible people, because those people can also be affected by their background, by their past, right? And it's not their fault as well for putting out these message. Who knows, my message can also be wrong. So you don't want to fully 100% listen to me, because you want to try to apply it to yourself first, and then if it's correct, then you can continue listening to me. Now, again, our goal is to restore our heart, is to fight for our heart and fight for the heart of others. And then if we don't have the weapons necessary to fight the enemies, right? The three enemies, which is what? If we can recall it, the devil, the world, and the flesh. The flesh is ourself, our psyche. The world is society, people, right? The dunya, if we say it in Islam, and the devil, shaitan, or iblis, or satan, right? We have to fight against them. Satan is the devil is the one who whispers at us, whispers our lies, twisting our commands, right? Promising us immortality, just like Adam and Eve failed to actually not take the fruit. And the world, full of influence, of bad influence from media, from society, from culture, from people, most importantly, to not be overly obsessed over people and get too attached to them, because we have to be attached to God. We need to be God conscious and walk in a journey with God, in our path with God and to God. And the flesh, our psyche, is our temptations, our pride, our arrogance that can come out as shadows, and our ego can protect them from it, and we can express it and project it to other people, because that's what we mirror in them. And so we need to have the three weapons that we can carry every single day to fight all of these three enemies. First, you want to wear your armor, right? Imagine in Minecraft, if you know Minecraft, right? I used to play Minecraft back then, and I used to want to get a diamond armor like as fast as I can. The fastest way to actually 1v1 someone, PvP, right? If you're a Minecraft person, is to actually put on the it's either the iron chestplate and the diamond helmet, or the diamond chestplate and the iron helmet. But I would do the diamond helmet and the iron chestplate, and just boots and leggings and stuff, right? We have to put on the armor, right? Think of Minecraft. Think of being the player in Minecraft, and you're about to do PvP with your friends, right? You're putting the armor, perhaps it's enchanted or not, right? But you have an armor there because you want to protect yourself from getting damaged, right? Because your heart rate, you don't want it to go down. Your heart level. What did I say? Heart rate. Your heart level. You don't want your heart level to go down, because you don't want to die. You want to win, right? This covers your body, because without your armor, even with small hits, it will actually affect you greatly. And so this analogy is applied to, let's say, for me, because I'm a Muslim, how I protect my body is by praying 5 times a day, because I want to protect my body throughout the day, right? So I have to pray 5 times a day as like this full body armor, this full diamond chest plate, or even netherite, right? It protects my mind, my body, and my soul, just like yourself as well. Guard your prayer times like armor, and you have to put on the iron plates or the diamond plates, right? Just like Minecraft. And also, the second one, which is raise your shield. You have to protect yourself from the attacking arrows, right? Let's say there's a skeleton in Minecraft shooting you with arrows, with bow and arrows, and you have to protect yourself with the armor and the shield as well, because you don't want to get damaged, right? Just like a shield that blocks arrows, the remembrance of God, when we remember God, when we're God conscious, that's why you don't want to be attached to people. When we're God conscious, we are blocking our sins. Think of sins like the arrows, right? Or maybe the fire, right? Be aware of God. Perhaps, like, let's say an example, when you're trying to talk to someone, perhaps when you're arguing with someone and you're about to lash out on them, right? And then you think to yourself, God loves patience. Watch your tongue. And that is the moment of remembrance. That's just putting a shield, because the devil is actually whispering you to just say a slur, to insult them, right? To say something bad about them. But when you raise your shield, you're saying to yourself, God loves patience. Now watch your tongue. And that, just remembering it will make your communication with the person 10 times better. And last but not least, if you don't already know, if it's not obvious already, is to swing your sword. To swing your sword. Now that you are carrying the shield, you raise your shield, right? And you have the armor put in, you have the diamond chestplate and the iron helmet, or the other way around, or vice versa. And then now you have to have your sword, right? What else do you want to do to like fight the mobs, right? To fight the zombies. It's been a long time, man. I forgot. to fight the mobs, right? To fight blazers. Blazers? Was that called blazers in the Nether, or blaze? What are you gonna do with that, right? You need a sword. You have to swing your sword. You have to raise also your sword and swing it and slice through the enemies, right? And how do we do this? Now, something that cuts through the whispers, it needs to be more powerful. It needs to be more sharper than any blade, right? Your blade needs to be the sharpest of them all. And what does this mean? It means that you have to read the scriptures. Read the verses in the Quran, the scriptures in the Bible if you're a Christian. Because it's sharper than any blade. Any zikr, that's for in Islam, as like remembrance of God, right? Say your Alhamdulillah, Astaghfirullah, right? Because the words, it's so sharp, it's gonna slice through the enemies straight away before you do something, while you're doing something, after you do something. If you say that word all the time, if you say the remembrance of Allah, zikr, then you will cut through the enemy's whisper. You will cut through the devil's whisper easily. It burns the devil. And you have to do this at the start of the day, and in the evening, and also at the end of the day. So you will get your sword not broken, right? You will keep your sword durable as long as you can. Now I have a sword back there, which I placed there for the video, because I want to show how faith can actually resolve and solve all the problems in the world, within yourself and externally. And so, if you want to increase the chance of winning against the devil, right? Like, imagine the devil or the dragon is literally in an inch away from you, about to attack you, like split second, right? And you're like all terrified, like, oh no, what's gonna happen, right? You already have your sword, you already have your shield and your armor, but then the devil come speeding towards you, come sprinting towards you, what are you gonna do? Right? The only thing you can do is to just stay grounded, stay calm and grounded. If you don't, you're gonna get attacked easily. You're vulnerable, you're exposed, you're weak because of it. But if the devil sees you, that you're grounded and calm, the devil will be scared of you. And so I made a whole video about how to stay calm and grounded in a tense situation. I'm going to link it somewhere here in the top of the video. And I'll see you in another one. Goodbye.